And that's where a lot of people, feel bad that they feel like they can't be strong because they're trying to do it in their own strength and their own ability, their own skills. No, Paul tells Timothy or encourages him that you can be strong in the grace of God. Amen. About being strong in God's grace of God, how he does it, he empowers you. Amen. That's how you can be strong. Paul even said it. He said that I can do all things through Christ. So he that strengthens or empowers or infuses one, and it's grace. Amen. That's what grace it empowers. It infuses you. It strengthens you. It's strength. Amen. He talks about that. Amen. Then we also came from a few other scriptures we talked about in 2 Corinthians chapter 12. We talked about Paul was saying how that there was given to him a thorn in the flesh, the message of Satan to buffet him, and he said that he sought the Lord 3 times about it. What's going on here? How can this thing continue to be here? And the Bible said in verse 9, he said to them, my grace is sufficient. He speaks about grace again. He talks about God's grace again. He echoes that to us to encourage us that how that he was understanding that it was God's grace here that was still sufficient enough. And he said, my strength is made perfect in weakness. And so Paul grabbed a hold of it. He finally grabbed a hold of it where he can now teach it. He can now echo it out. He can now write to Timothy and different ones and tell us, amen, about how we now could be strong in the grace of God. How he was recognizing that in the midst of his weakness, all of a sudden God's grace showed up. Grace showed up. And in his weakness, all of a sudden he became strong. You ever seen like how that you're going through a big test or something? Say, I don't know how I'm gonna make it through this. God, look like, how in the world a person make it through that? And if they be honest and tell you that they don't really know how they made it through it, but when they look back, say, oh God, it had to have been the grace of God. Man, for me to go through that, for me to make it through that test, to go through that situation, to go through all of that, to go through all of this, go through that. I was hearing a pastor give a testimony on the other week. He was saying how that he lost his mom, he lost his pastor, he lost his brother, and he lost his sister. Jesus. He said all within 6 months' time. So he didn't know how in the world he was going to make it. And he realized that it had to have been God to come in. And I realized, wait a minute, he needed to put that word grace. That it was God's grace that showed up. Amen. To help him to deal with all those deaths. Burying his mom, burying his sister, burying his brother, burying his pastor. Amen. And how did he go through all of that within a 6-month period of time? Amen. It had to have been God's grace to show up, to help him through all of that